welcome to the Quarterback's Room. We're glad you're with us today. A reminder, the Quarterback's Room is brought to you by Florida Football Prep for all your football needs, be it customized team gear to the best prepared and game-ready footballs available. We have it for you. Look at top-notch training through the Jake Medlock Passing Academy, CDR Elite Speed and Agility Training, or another stable of other potential trainers. Just go to www.floridafootballprep.com. That's www.floridafootballprep.com. Okay, so Miles, we had that little game last weekend called the Super Bowl, where we had Philadelphia and we had Kansas City play, and we both made our picks before the game. I picked Philadelphia. You picked Kansas City. And how did that turn out?
I mean, the Eagles won. It was domination, but I didn't, even if the Eagles were going to win, I didn't think it was going to be like 28-0 at halftime. I didn't think that was going to happen.
But you know, it's kind of funny because when you look at it, we played the game before the game on Madden. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
And what happened with that?
I crushed you.
And who were you?
The Eagles.
And who was I?
Chiefs.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was something like 45 or 35-7 at halftime. A lot of the same issues that Kansas City actually had in the game I was having. Now, granted, you play a lot more Madden than I do, and it's kind of funny when you look at it because I was sitting there trying to play on rookie mode. You were playing on like all pro mode, and you were still kicking my butt. So, but if you didn't know, Miles is an incredible both college football 25 player and Madden. Besides being an actually really good football player, he loves the video games, and he takes a lot of lessons from them too, because he'll look at, we can look at different coverage breakdowns, and he'll look at plays versus coverage and figure out who's going to be open. So he's doesn't just play the game, he really plays the game. So, and he'll spend hours watching video on how to get better at it, which is kind of funny. But you know, the funny thing was, what did we think was going to be the deciding factor in the game?
Saquon Barkley.
But who was the deciding factor?
Jalen Hurts.
I thought it was interesting that Hurts really came out and stepped up, and just, he's been playing great football, and I was just really impressed with how he played. What did you think about his play?
I mean, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought they were going to run the ball like 3/4 of the game, but...
Well, you know what's funny is I bet you the Eagles figured the Chiefs were going to think that, which is why they probably changed up their game plan a little bit. And, you know, I had said in the pregame show that Jalen Hurts is playing some of the best ball he's played in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm just really, really impressed with the way the Eagles came out and played. They were completely dominant. Now, I will say, anybody who watches the show knows that I am an Iowa Hawkeye and a UCF fan, but I went to Iowa. I grew up in Iowa City, so I'm a big Hawkeye fan. So seeing Cooper DeJean get a pick six in the Super Bowl on his birthday was kind of a special treat. So go Hawks. It was kind of funny to see, but it was. I wouldn't say it was a great game to watch because honestly, it got kind of boring. It looked to me like the Chiefs hadn't practiced in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, they were totally out of sync. Patrick Mahomes, have you ever seen him play that bad?
No.
What did you think of the sacks?
Kind of reminds me of Shedeur Sanders.
Where he wouldn't get rid of the ball, and a lot of it seemed, some of them seemed very, very coverage sack-like, where, yeah, granted, he didn't have a lot of time in the pocket, but he was holding onto the ball too long, and nobody was open, and he wouldn't throw it, and it was just not the greatest play that I'd seen in a while. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just like wasn't good at all. It reminds me of my line.
If you didn't know, last year and in youth football, one of the interesting things is you're playing with a lot of kids that haven't played a lot. Some have probably never played, and those are the bigger kids that are playing on the offensive line and defensive line. And teaching them to block can sometimes be a challenge for coaches. Now, granted, I was not coaching, so but there was times when you would have about 1.5 seconds maybe to get rid of the ball. It didn't help that our offense wasn't geared very much towards passing, but it did remind me of that, because he really didn't have much time to unleash that ball. Did you have any other observations of the game?
No, not really.
What about Travis Kelce? He did not look good that game either. I don't know. I thought that there's rumors out there now that he may retire. I think the Chiefs have given him till, I think, March 13th to make up his decision whether or not he's going to return or not. I don't know. It's up to him. He's been a dominant player over time. Do you want to go out while you're on top, or hang around for another season and try to get one more Super Bowl? But the thing is, now the whole three-peat thing's over, so now it'd just be his 4th Super Bowl. So does he want to just stick around for that? I don't know. One of the interesting things to me, Miles, is that when you play football for a long time and you've been out there at that level, you've got to love the game. So if you don't love the game, then what really, at some point, it just gets tiresome. You're putting your body into it. You're getting busted up. It's grueling. It's day in, day out. At some point, you have enough money. If you don't love the game anymore and it becomes a job, I mean, at that point, do you stick around and keep playing?
No.
So, I mean, even being a D1 athlete, if you're going to play at the Division I level, that's a big jump from high school. And some kids have it, some kids don't. It's a lot of work. It's a grind. But anyway, so football, the NFL is officially over. So what comes next?
Sevens, and then
No, not for you.
UFL.
The United Football League. So if anybody hasn't ever watched the UFL yet, I strongly recommend you start watching UFL if you're a football lover. They actually put on a pretty darn good product. There's been some good matchups, some great teams so far. I mean, it was the USFL, then the USFL and XFL, and then last year both leagues joined. They merged, and now it's the UFL. But what's fascinating is they eliminated some teams, brought in some of it. So both leagues kind of cut themselves in half and merged. But for the last 3 years now, is it 3 years, right? The Stallions have won the championship all 3 years. But overall, it's been a really good product. They've had some pretty decent quarterbacks on both sides. They had Alex Magoo, who played really well for Birmingham. Jamar Chase. It's Jamar Chase, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and then also Adrian Martinez played for Birmingham last year. But it's been an interesting thing. What is your team in the UFL?
The Stallions.
And why is that?
Marlon
Who?
Williams.
Okay. Why Marlon Williams? What makes that important to you?
He's a friend.
So, again, we talked about this before, but we are here in Orlando, so we are UCF fans. Marlon Williams, who was a wide receiver at UCF, record-setting wide receiver at UCF, was signed by the Texans, I believe, but he had a foot injury and couldn't pass the physical. But then he went back and he's played the last 3 years in the UFL. The first year he led the entire league in receptions. The second year he literally was in early preseason conversation for potentially being MVP of the league, where he tore his Achilles in the first half of the first game and was out for the whole season. And last year he came back with a passion and was still just an amazing player. But he's also a close personal friend. So kind of we will root for Birmingham so long as he's playing for Birmingham. But it's a good product. And I mean, what is there anything in particular you really like about the UFL, or is it just football?
It's football, and there's a 3-point conversion.
Ah, yeah, I forgot about that because you can come back and then of course I think Arena League will start up too in a few months, and that should be interesting. Now, last year, Miles's quarterback coach played in the Arena League, led the league in passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns after having not played for 5 years. So that was pretty impressive. But
Yeah.
I don't think Jake's playing this year. But it's still a fun product. There's a lot of teams across the country that are in the Arena League. So if you like football, and it's kind of a unique game. It's a shorter field. It's fast paced. But I mean, go out there and give it a shot because arena football. Some people may look at it sideways, but you know what? It's a good game. Good night. Take the family out. Get a hot dog. Sit in the stands. Grab a beer, whatever, and enjoy football and support these kids that are still they're playing not for the money at that point because there's not a lot of money in arena ball, but they're playing for the love of the game, and you got to respect that. So, so besides that, you've been playing now for several weeks. Let me talk a little bit about you because I'm proud of you. So how is it going so far with the flag and the sevens?
Great. 29 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, I think it was, and then through 7 games, and we're 5-2 in 7 games. But for flag, we're 3-0.
So, I think you're forgetting a touchdown.
A rushing touchdown.
And a rushing touchdown.
And then 2 receptions.
Oh yeah, two receptions too. We kind of can do a little changing up. I swapped him out and had him at running back and let him rush one in one time, and then we started doing some specials where we're running some trick plays. So Miles gets to both hand the ball off, catch it. He gets to run with it sometimes, depending on what we're doing. It's been pretty fun. But I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about how, at your age, as a youth quarterback, and you're stepping up to the line under center, and you're sitting there, and you walk up. What is going through your head? What are you thinking about when you get to that position?
Well, just rating coverages.
Such as?
Like rating safeties and corners and linebackers.
Okay. So, I mean, what do you specifically look for? Do you know? I mean, you do know, but what do you specifically look for? What kind of things?
Like safety, how many safeties there are back and stuff.
And what about what are defenders looking at?
Yeah, if they're looking at the receiver, it's man. If they're looking at you, it's zone. The quarterback, it's zone.
Okay. And now, say the defense is running a let's say a cover one. What does that leave open for you?
Away, which is like a go route on the way on the side.
Okay. Cover two.
Middle and hole. And the hole is like a a corner outside.
Okay.
To each side.
Cover three.
Seams.
And cover four.
Flats.
Cover zero.
Anywhere like above the hard deck.
I was just curious where you were going to go with that.
Anywhere not on the flats.
Yeah, it's been interesting. You know, it's been my privilege to coach you for the last 3 years, and I've enjoyed it and watching you mature as a quarterback. And it's funny because we played Thursday night and we beat the other team 41-0, and my understanding is that one of the parents was asking one of my coaches if you would be interested in potentially playing in another team for Pop Warner. And do you think that's going to happen?
Not at all.
Okay, so you're me playing where?
Winter Park.
Yep, Winter Park, Florida. So Pop Warner, Winter Park, Florida. Miles will be out there, hopefully slinging the ball, and well, hopefully we'll have an offensive line and implement a little bit different offense, especially if I'm running the offense this year.
Yeah,
It should be exciting. We'll run kind of a more modified air raid and get that ball out there and force them to go into more coverage than cover one, which is our ultimate goal. I did want to talk a little bit about one of the things that's really been getting on my nerves. I shouldn't say nerves, but so we've had to deal a lot with over the last few weeks with parents, and I want to talk to parents for a minute. Listen, when you sign your child up for football, it's a commitment, not just for your child, but it's a commitment by you. You've got to make sure that athlete gets to practices. You've got to make sure that they're ready to be there. They have what they need, such as cleats. Make sure that, sometimes we have problems with parents bringing water bottles and making sure their kids have water. Those are basic commitments that come from you to make sure your child is ready. I can't tell you how many times we've been to games. We were at a tournament a couple of weeks ago, and I always bring a cooler with ice and bottles of water in it. Why? Because I've had parents, or I've had kids come up to me, no water. It's 90 degrees outside, 85, 90 degrees outside, and it's hot, and the sun's out. And these kids have no water. And listen, parents, you got to be on it. And the other thing is parents, root for your child, root for their team. There's no room in that area. Remember, you're setting an example for your child. So if you're screaming and yelling at players on the other team or on your team, if you're criticizing them and yelling at them, that's unacceptable behavior. So there needs to be, you need to behave that your child would be proud to have you as their parent. Don't behave like a ass wagon on the sideline, because that's unacceptable. Don't attack other kids that are on your team or not on your team, but don't attack them, because you know what? I don't think you'd appreciate it if people attacked your child. So as a coach, I never, ever, ever attack kids. I never say a bad word, even if the kid is dropping the ball and running the wrong routes. The whole idea is to get the kids to like football, want to play football, and get out there and grow as an athlete. Now, look, if they're not catching the ball well, I'll take care of that in practice. I'll keep working with them. If they're not running the right routes, I'll work on that. But there's no reason to criticize kids. It's unacceptable behavior for a parent. And last but not least, if you're attacking coaches, you need to check yourself, because those coaches at the youth level are all volunteers. All right. I literally had a parent try to fight me last weekend, try to start a fight with me last weekend. And my whole thing is, if you think you're smarter than I am or the other coaches are, go coach. Sign up, make the commitment, and go coach. Because all you are, if you're attacking coaches, you're a blowhard. You're a blowhard and you have no place there. I think some of the more successful programs get what's called a code of conduct for parents and players, where they have to sign that and say, okay, I will not behave this way, X, Y, and Z, towards my team, the opponent's team, no profanity, blah, blah, blah. So, parents, you're setting an example for your child. Don't behave poorly on the sideline. Don't behave poorly to other players or coaches, your coaches or the other team's coaches. Don't be running around. I've literally seen parents taunting the other team, making fun of the other team's players. I've seen that. That is unacceptable behavior, guys. So I just want to hit on that a little bit. And primarily because we had a bad experience last weekend. Sometime maybe I'll share what actually happened. But with that being said, which I say way too much, I was listening to myself. I say that all the time. But Miles, you always say you don't have any closing comments. So I don't even know if I want to ask you this time. Do you have any closing comments? Maybe say something about come out and watch you play and support youth football, or
Um, if you're good at football, can you sign up for Winter Park football? We need players.
yeah. So that season will start too soon. Now is the time, and I'm not saying specifically Winter Park, but now is the time to get your kid registered for youth leagues for going into the fall. Because honestly, summer training, spring training will start pretty soon in the next couple months. So sign up now, get your kids enrolled. Doesn't have to be Winter Park unless they're really good. Just remember, the lessons your children will learn playing a team sport will carry with them for a lifetime. So this is an opportunity to really make a difference in their lives and teach them teamwork and values and the value of hard work as they move on in their lives. So until next time, we'll see you here again in the quarterback's room.